Hi everyone, it's Barbara and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited about today's Dollar Tree Farmhouse DIYs, so let's get started on our first project. I will be using this plastic container from Dollar Tree and also some Waverly White chalk paint. Now you could spray paint this, but the weather has not been the best in my area, so I opted to go ahead and use my chalk paint. I gave this 2 thin coats, allowing it to dry in between each coat. I painted the entire piece, including the bottom, and I absolutely love this design. Now it looks like a beautiful ceramic piece rather than a plastic container. I went ahead and filled in the bottom with some plastic bags, as well as one of the styrofoam blocks from Dollar Tree that I have cut in half. I then am going to be decorating this with some beautiful hydrangeas from Walmart. They're like 97 or 98 cents a bundle. And also some beautiful white flowers from Hobby Lobby that I picked up when they were having their floral sale. I decided to go ahead and add the second styrofoam block as well as a few more bags to give it a little bit more height and to fill in most of the container. After I cut each of my stems from the bundle, I'm just going to place these into the styrofoam until it gets nice and full, and I made sure that I had the hydrangeas placed around the bottom part so that the flower as well as the leaves would hang over the edge of the container. I ended up using 3 bundles of the hydrangeas and the 1 bundle from Hobby Lobby with the white flowers. And I think this turned out so beautiful. It looks like a very high-end, realistic piece. Let me know what you think of project number 1. If you are new to my channel and you are enjoying today's video, I would love for you to click that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. Moving on to project number 2, I am using these beautiful glass canisters from Dollar Tree, and I am going to go ahead and remove the lid as well as the plastic piece that's inside the lid. So I just used a flathead screwdriver and lifted up a piece of that plastic lid to the point where I could get my pliers under there, and then I just rolled my pliers over until the plastic piece came off. I did that for all 3 lids. Now keep your plastic pieces because we will be attaching these back on later. I painted each of the canisters with 2 coats of my Waverly White chalk paint, and I also painted each of the lids. And I did make sure that I allowed that paint to dry between each coat so that it would have a nice smooth finish. Now, I wanted my lids to have a wood look, so I am painting them with the white chalk paint to start off with a very nice base coat. These are absolutely gorgeous after 2 coats of paint. So to get that realistic wood look, I'm going to be using my antique wax made by Waverly. And I have used this technique on a metal cabinet, which I will link in the cards above, as well as that video in my description box if you are interested in watching that to see how I get this wood look. So I'm just going to apply the wax with a brush, and then I'm taking a lint-free cloth and wiping most of that wax off. And I'm going in the same direction to give it more of a wood grain effect. And I did apply 2 coats, allowing it to dry in between each of those coats. And I think this is just so gorgeous and so realistic, and it looks like real wood. I'm going to reapply those plastic pieces back onto the lid, and I'm going to set those to the side. So since this is chalk paint and I want to make sure that I protect the rim because those lids are going to be in and out of there, I want to protect that chalk paint using some clear sealing wax made by Krylon. And I'm just going to apply that with my lint-free cloth. And then once I apply a nice generous amount in that area, I will use a clean portion of the cloth to wipe most of that wax off to leave it with a nice smooth finish. Now, I don't recommend putting any food in these containers because I did paint the top part of the rim, but you could certainly store any kind of cute items like cotton balls or Q-tips. I'm going to be displaying them on this tray. Now, I made this tray in a previous DIY, and I will have a link to that video in my description box if you are interested. And I am also using some scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to go ahead and just measure out the height and width of this tray that I have already made. And I'm using my Cricut cutter because I don't cut the most perfectly straight lines. And I wanted to make sure that I got it as straight as possible so that I would not have any gaps when I place the paper in the bottom of the tray. I always like to make sure that the paper is going to fit before I apply it, and I will be applying it using some Mod Podge. And I am using matte Mod Podge so that it doesn't have a very glossy finish, because once I apply an even layer on the bottom, and then I place my paper in there and make sure that there are no wrinkles or air bubbles and that everything's nice and smooth, I will go back over the top of that with my Mod Podge to protect the paper in case anything were to get on it. And then I want to make sure that it has a matte finish to match the chalk paint. After I allow that to dry, I can style my canisters right here on this tray, and I think they are super beautiful. I love how they turned out, and I hope that you like them too. For project number 3, we're going to start off with 3 of these wooden drawers, and I'm going to remove the drawer inserts, and I'm going to be using some of these 1-gallon paint stir sticks. Now you can pick these up, no, they're quart paint stir sticks, I'm sorry. You can pick these up at Lowe's and you get 30 in a pack for $1, and they're nice and wide and they have a really beautiful wood grain look to it. I'm just going to hold the front part of the drawer that has that heart on there, line it up with 3 of those sticks, mark them with my pencil, then I'm going to score them with my utility knife. Then I will go in and cut those with my scissors. So once you score it with your utility knife, it really keeps it from splintering when you cut it with the scissors. Then I'm just going to make sure that they will line up and that they're even on the front part of the drawer. Then I'll sand each one of those pieces down, and then again make sure that they line up and that the drawer will be able to open and close properly, and that I don't have a lot of edging hanging over. I'm going to use my antique wax again on each of these pieces, making sure that I get all of the outside edges as well as the front of the piece. And then I'll wipe most of that off with my cloth. I'm also going to make sure that I use this same technique on the front of the drawers, because if there's a little bit of a gap between those slats with the craft sticks, you wouldn't see that light colored wood, you would see the dark wood. Then I'll set those to the side after I do all 3 of those and let those dry. After it has dried, I'm going to take my Gorilla Wood glue and apply those 3 craft sticks to the front of the drawer. Make sure everything is lined up, and then I'll set those to the side and let that wood glue dry before handling the drawer anymore. Once I have all of those in place, I am then going to take the 3 outside boxes that the drawers came in, and I am going to glue these 3 together using wood glue and hot glue. So the wood glue is going to give it that permanent hold, and the hot glue is going to give it that temporary hold. Once I get these 3 pieces together, I'm also going to use 2 of these wooden crates from Dollar Tree, and these have the indentations on the front and the back. So I'm just going to line these up and I'm going to glue them end to end, again using my Gorilla Wood glue and my hot glue. And now the front parts for the openings for those drawers, as well as the openings for the crates, are all going to be facing towards you. And then you can glue those 3 drawers right on the center top of the two crates. Now I made sure that it was flush in the front, and you will have a little bit of it overhanging on the back. I'm using one of Dollar Tree's beautiful wood signs. I love the design on this. And after I remove the hanger, I'm just going to line those two side pieces up to the back part of those three drawers. And I'll apply that again with my wood glue and hot glue. And just lining those up with the top edge of those three drawer pieces, and then hold that in place until your glue sets up. Now I like a finished look, so I'm going to be filling in all of these cracks with some spackling. You can use caulk, wood putty. You don't have to fill them in at all, but I just like to have a nice smooth finished look rather than having these seams or gaps there. So once I apply all of this to all of the areas that I want to seal, I'm also going to take some of these wooden beads. Now I got these from Amazon. They came in a huge pack with like 980 pieces, and I want to say it was like $15 or $16, which I think is a really good deal. And I'll have that linked in my Amazon store if I can. I am also going to take my spackling and fill in one of the holes on each of these wood beads to make sure that they're nice and smooth. Once my spackling has dried, I'm going to go over it with one of Dollar Tree's sanding blocks and sand everything down nice and smooth, and I also made sure that I sanded those beads. Then I'm going to go in with a cloth and make sure that I wipe any of the dust from sanding off of all of the entire pieces. And I'm going to take my Waverly White chalk paint, and I'm going to give these 2 coats. And I did make sure that I painted this entire piece, the inside part of these drawers, as well as the back part and also the bottom. Now, once you put your drawers in, we can then take our beads and apply those to the front parts of the drawers to become the handles. And I'm going to attach these with some Gorilla Wood glue. Now I am going to hold that in place for just a few seconds after I line it up and press it firmly. And then you don't want to handle it until that glue sets up. I didn't use hot glue because there wasn't quite enough room on the bead for the wood glue and the hot glue. So you just want to make sure that it dries completely before you handle it. Then I'm going to take some of that same scrapbook paper that I used in the previous DIY, and this came out of one of these beautiful books that I picked up on sale from Hobby Lobby. And then I measured the inside part of the 2 bottom parts of the crates. And then I'm just going to use my Cricut cutter to cut those out and make sure that my design is lining up. Again, I always like to make sure that it's going to fit in there before I attach it with any kind of glue. I'm going to use the same matte Mod Podge, apply that to the back of those 2 bottom crates, and then I can place my paper in there. I'll do the other side the exact same way, and once I have that second piece of paper in there, I can go in and add my Mod Podge to the front to seal those in. I think this paper is so beautiful, and I am loving this white and wood and this gorgeous pattern that I went ahead and decided to add this to the top part of this piece as well. So I just cut a piece that was slightly larger than the top part of this. We'll call it a shelf now. I'll apply my paper on there, and then I'm just going to cut it as close as I can to the edge, and then I'm going to go over that with the Mod Podge on the front again to seal that in, and then I'll just set it to the side and make sure that my Mod Podge has dried before I go in and sand any of that excess off. So I just took a sanding block and went in one direction and went around the entire top part of this piece until I had it sanded down nice and smooth. And then I can reinsert my drawers, and this shelf is finished. This is so cute. This would look so beautiful in a bathroom to hold, you know, cotton balls, your fingernail clippers, your tweezers. You could use it as a decor piece. It's really gorgeous. I love how this one turned out. You guys, if you have a favorite, I would love to know in the comments down below which one is your favorite. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please take care, and I will see you guys next time.